just now on my first cup of coffee, and to be honest with you, I forgot about it. I just started working, and then I had already made it. And then I go in there, and it's like all cold. It's like... And then if you microwave it, it's not the same. So I just got to drink this quick and then get another pot or another cup. Another pot. Anyhow, it's not what this video is about. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I'm sitting and watching all of these different comments about the halftime show, and it's just funny how people... It's just funny, man. Every year people are butthurt about the halftime show, and I just find it so funny. Remember whenever Shakira and was it J-Lo? I believe. Both were just insane. Both. It's just like... But that's kind of like the thing. It's a spectacle, it seems like nowadays. But this particular halftime show was insane. I've liked all of the halftime shows, mostly. Not all. I've liked a great few of them. And this one was by far one of the best ones, in my opinion. Just in terms of the history and memories and stuff like that. I remember whenever rap, they were trying to destroy it. C. Dolores Tucker was one of those people who was trying to shut rap down, and the FBI and all these other people were looking at it, and now look at how far it's actually come. So it shows you that perseverance is what's important, and it doesn't matter what all these other people are trying to do or say. Just keep your head down and keep focusing on the task ahead, right? And that's what they've done. And so, looking at Snoop, Dre, 50, Mary J. Blige, of course. Kendrick Lamar, I don't know as much. Obviously, it's a different generation. I know he's a great artist, but yeah, I haven't really listened to him as much as the others, obviously. It's a different generation. That was more people a little bit younger than me, or more of the Kendrick Lamar type generation, right? But anyway, someone asked this question, why do I not put the kids on video or camera more? And I had done this video right after I got that comment, but then I said, I want to change it up a little bit. I sometimes do that, and off the rip, I talk about it, and then I'm like, I could have done better. Our YouTube channel started initially to chronicle our life. And it was at a time when I wasn't really sure what life was going to even look like. Because we started a channel many years ago, over 10 years ago. No, over 11 years ago now. And we just created a channel, right? Just to have one. And so we were obviously a Blasian family, a Blasian couple, Noelle and I. And at the time, you didn't see a lot of that on YouTube. You had a few, but it wasn't like it is today where you see a massive amount. So, we posted about Zoe's birth. Well, Noelle was pregnant with her, and that was one of the videos, and I barely said much because Noelle, she loves to talk. And that was the whole point, was to chronicle our family and just kind of the journey. And then later, the Blasian Family Channel, which is owned by Lily, she wanted to do an interview. And so we did an interview, but it wasn't like face-to-face. She had sent some questions to ask, and we answered them and sent the video back, and she posted it. And we got a lot of people from her channel over to ours. Now, it didn't bloom in any big significant numbers at all. I think we maybe only got like 20 people. Even though thousands watched it, we only had 20 people. But when we started doing those videos, the kids were in them more than they are now, and so was Noelle. But Noelle obviously can jump in anytime she wants to do videos or be a part of them. It's just she doesn't. A lot of times I'm doing videos at the spur of the moment, whenever I have time to do them or when I'm thinking about it. So she's always busy. With the kids, I don't want them in the videos for a few different reasons. One, and this is one of the main reasons why you don't see the kids often, is because social media, in my opinion, as well as reality TV shows, destroys families. Now, that's not some sort of a scientific thing, but, or, some sort of, I can't point to some sort of a factoid behind it, but if you look at reality TV, look at all of the people who were a part of that. Remember when Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson were in a relationship and they were on a reality TV show? What happened to them? Right? Kim Kardashian and her whole family has been on reality shows, and every one of them have went through different relationships. People may say that's not a good example, but it counts. There are so many different people who are super famous, had a stable relationship before, and didn't do well. There are some exceptions, right? Ice-T and Coco. Okay? But I think with both of them comes a massive amount of maturity. If you look at all of the Real Housewives, all of them have had some sort of divorce or come close to it. Most of them, not all, most of them. And so that, looking at all of those different instances, was one of the reasons why I did not want to put the kids on camera all the time. That's the first thing. Second thing is, there's a lot of legalities that you have to deal with that people don't think about. Potential legalities, I should say. There are child labor laws. There are internet protection things for children. YouTube is big about that now because they were not so much before, but they're big about that. Federally, there's a lot of things involving children that you're not really supposed to do in terms of cameras and stuff like that. So I'm not an attorney, right? I did work for the federal government, so I know that there's certain things, obviously, protections that you have to do. But I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to sit there and try to decipher everything. The best thing to do is to not put them necessarily squarely on camera. And when it comes to Facebook, I do so sparingly. The kids, you'll see pictures of them and this, that, and the other, but it's sparingly. It's not like it used to be, right, where there was a ton of those. Obviously, on vacation, you may see them more than not, but that's normal. To have them in every single video is a problem. It's problematic in my opinion because those children have to go to school. Back when we were kind of really busy with this channel and the kids were in it a lot more, their school principal watched. I don't think they still do anymore, but their school principal watched. There's been times when our channel has been played in class. Believe it or not, our channel has passed 1.1 million views total, collectively. Now, some would laugh at that because, heck, one of Kevin Samuel's videos has probably got like 12 million views, right? But for me, it's a big accomplishment. So that's a cool thing. But there are people who watch this channel who are a part of the kids' lives, and I don't necessarily want the kids to be subject to something that is not fair to them, right? I don't want there to be a situation where the kids at school will use whatever is here against them necessarily, or something like that. The other thing is that you have to think about children's safety. You don't know who's on the other side of the camera watching what goes on, watching every detail. They may not care about Noelle and I, but they may care about the kids. And you're basically given a play-by-play as to what the kids are doing, where they are, all of this type of stuff. And it's not a good thing. I've seen, unfortunately, famous people be attacked by crazed fans or people who are disturbed. I've seen it. I've heard stories about it. It's even happened to some folks on YouTube. So personally, age and wisdom is saying that no, it's not a good thing to do. Right? Now, as a result, with that said, the channel doesn't grow as fast because people want to be able to see that. If I focus only squarely on talking about Blasian relationship, this and that, or only focus solely on the kids, yeah, I think that there are many different things I can do to blast the channel to a completely different realm. And I can live up to stereotypes and different things like that. But this is not my full-time job. This is not even my part-time job. This is just something I do whenever I get bored, or if someone has a question, or if there's something that comes up in common average everyday life and I'm like, you know what, I want to talk about that. That's what this is for, right? It's to also have memories for the kids. I've talked about that. Like, a big part of starting the channel was for them to look back at how they've grown. So every now and again, there will be snippets of them in it and they can see themselves, and we watch videos of the past of them. And so that's kind of what this is also about. Facebook helps in that matter too, because then we have two places where the kids can look and see how they've grown and, you know, all of this. And they always love that part, right? But even with my limited audience, I'm very selective, of who I hang out with and talking about my whereabouts. You get what I'm saying? That's not me being paranoid. That's just being real. I don't know what other people, what's in their mind or in their heart. I don't know that. So for me, I'm not going to necessarily tell you, like when we were in Vegas, I didn't meet with anybody. Mainly because of the simple fact I didn't know what was going on. You know, Noelle, this was a surprise trip. So Noelle had everything planned. I kind of had an idea. Once I knew we were going to Vegas, I'm like, there's certain things I got to do. Meow Wolf was one of them. And it was a spectacular thing. Everybody enjoyed it. I got to upload that video too. But I didn't tell people before that the day and the time that we were going. I didn't do that. I did it well after we had already went there and left. Because we actually enjoyed our time in the parking lot, eating some snacks and stuff like that, because you have to have tickets to go in at a certain time. So we were just relaxing and enjoying ourselves. And so that's kind of the way that we've done it, is literally we may do certain things and people will find out hours or days after when we have actually done stuff. Why? Because even here I get recognized. There are people who say, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, I don't know you. Like, who are you? Because I'm thinking to myself, maybe I met you and I don't remember, because I'm bad sometimes. I'm horrible with names. But sometimes with a face, it's like, you look familiar. But then when I'm thinking, you don't look familiar, your voice don't sound familiar to me, nothing about you. And then they're like, yeah, you know, I've seen you on, you know, YouTube and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's where you... So that's kind of the case. It's not like some YouTubers where they know for a fact, as soon as someone says their name, they're like, yep, that's somebody that has watched our channel. We're just not that size. So I never really think about that. I'm thinking, how do I know this person? And it's through this, right? So I want to make sure for me personally and my family that there are certain protection measures in there. And one of it is to keep the kids off of social media. If they are not old enough to vote legally, then personally, I don't want my kids to be on social media like that. Now, obviously, when they become teenagers, they may have their own stuff, and that's different. But me showcasing my kids and shoving a camera in their face, I don't think it's fair to them, because They may not want that. I don't want it to be when they're 18. You know, I hated it. I hated whenever I was always on camera. I don't want that to come up. Because as a child, they're always looking for approval. Children always seek their parents' approval. And it could be something that they don't want. And I'm thinking they're cool with it, but really they're only doing that to appease me. So I don't do that, right? I'm a pretty successful man without YouTube, right? YouTube is just kind of like this way of me escaping the grind every day. And so I come on here and do a video. There's so many videos that I've done that are not even uploaded, some of which are just sitting here taking up space, some of which I'll go through and delete. I went through yesterday and deleted like 13 videos that have never even seen the light of day. There are some still on YouTube right now ready to go, and all I have to do is just schedule them to, or just hit live for them to be live, and I haven't done that. There's no reason why. It's just that I made those videos at a time when I felt like, oh, I want to say something, and then later it becomes irrelevant. Or I'm like, I'm already bored with that topic. So for me, it takes a while for certain videos to come out because I sit and go through it in my head. But one of the things that I don't necessarily have to worry about are my kids, because I want to make sure I protect them first and foremost, right? First and foremost. It is my job as their father to make sure that I protect them to the best of my ability. And if I am purposely putting them out there, I feel like that is compromised in a way. That doesn't necessarily mean something's going to happen. That's not to speak bad about people who do. That's not to say anything about anybody else. I can't speak for anybody else, and I don't care what other people do. I can care less. But I know for me personally, that's not something that I want to do. Now, does that maybe hurt the channel? Sure it does, but I don't give a damn. Like, I don't really care. I've said that before. I don't really care about that. That's not my main source of revenue whatsoever. Right? It's not. So, with that said, even with a small channel, I'm not going to put the kids on there. And if the channel was 50 times the size, I definitely wouldn't put them on, because there's more people who will recognize or know the kids. So it's a safety issue for me and the kids. It's the first thing in my mind is safety. Second biggest thing is I don't know what's really in my kid's heart when it comes to putting them on camera. Now they may say, I want to be on there. I want to be on there. Let me see. Let me. And it's like, no. I may throw a glance or something like that, and the camera in their way or something like that. But no, there's been oftentimes, like for Christmas, for example, I don't showcase a lot of what I used to, but I don't really highlight Christmas as much, or birthdays. I used to show all of those things. They are on YouTube, but they're not available for people to see, right? It's available for us. There are a lot of different things. I'll post it onto YouTube and have it as a private thing for Noelle and I, but and for the kids. But regular people aren't going to be able to see it. There may be times too on the Discord, which be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. I may just start doing videos of what I truly think, unfiltered, and make it available for people on Discord, because I can do that, right? So that's something that I probably will do. But yeah, the whole idea of putting my family out there like that is not something, over time, I just feel like it's not a good idea. And people weaponize words. People, see, one of the big things too is Noelle and I have been married and divorced before. Once you've went through that and you've learned, I think that divorce is like a massive knife wound. And it's supposed to be a massive knife wound, because it basically is showing you that part of your soul, if you really love that other person, part of your soul is being taken out because they were a part of you. if you really married based on love and all that stuff. People who just get together on a fling and then split, that's different. But if you really and truly in the deepest depths love that person, then it's like a knife wound. It takes time to heal that wound. And it's not a quick fix. It's not a few months type of thing. I see people who get divorced 3 months later, they have someone else. That's not giving yourself time to heal. And so all you're doing is basically a rebound. And that relationship's never going to work either. So when you go through a divorce properly and learn mistakes, learning that you are probably 50% of that issue, if not more, and giving your ex some latitude, that's a hard thing to do. I gave my ex, just like Noelle, I think she did, but I know I can speak for me. I gave my ex a lot of latitude because we weren't together anymore. It didn't matter. I gave her a lot of latitude, and that said I was at least 52% of the problem, if not 55 or 60%. I'll fall on that sword because that's the only way I'm going to be able to fix me and have a stronger relationship with whoever I get with next later. That's why Noelle and I are pretty lock solid, because we're not afraid to admit our own faults. And I think a lot of people are. We're also not afraid of showing our relationship to everybody. And we're not going to allow our family to dictate our relationship. There's not a person alive nor dead that would allow us to decide what we do with our relationship. And one of the reasons why, and people tried, the reason why it didn't work is because we learned from the past. Noelle went and reported everything that happened with her ex to her family. And it was used as ammunition against him when probably things were not that bad. Things may have been like maybe 40% of an issue, but it became like a 90% issue because other people got involved and got into her head. That's not to say if that hadn't have happened, their relationship would have continued. No, it would have died on its own. However, it accelerated it because of the simple fact that other people get into your head and say, well, you could do better. Or, like, I can't believe that this, I'm not saying this is what they were saying. I don't know the details of what they were saying, and I don't really care. But it doesn't help. Me on my side, same thing. Talking about my ex to my family and this and that and what she did, and there was already not a good introduction between my mom and my ex. So at that point, anything I said about my ex was always met with, yeah, well, she's this, that, and the other. And I remember it's always going back to the first time they encountered. My mom was a wonderful, wonderful person, but she's human. So obviously, anything that involves her son, she's going to be protective. And especially now there's someone who had a frothy relationship with her to begin with. It became a much bigger issue. And then her family, also, same thing. She was telling them stuff about me. And so they didn't know me, just like Noelle's family didn't know me. A lot of them still don't. But they didn't know me to really have any opinion whatsoever. Until you can sit down with me, have a meal, and we have a conversation, I can do a business meeting and know the business person by far better than I know a lot of people in Noelle's family. These are facts. So, and she doesn't shy away from that. She's not protective. Like, that's not true. Don't you say that. You see what I'm saying? She's like, yeah, that's true. It's true. Right? Because she knows that I would go to the wall protecting and defending her when it comes to anybody in my family. And luckily, we haven't had that issue. And she now will do the exact same thing. You see what I'm saying? So we've already survived the roughest stuff coming at us. And we already seen what happens whenever you let the whole world pretty much see your life. Everybody will have an opinion, even though they don't know half the facts. They don't know anything. They don't. You have some people, especially, and I think that you see, Noelle has kind of bounced off of YouTube a little bit, mainly because she's just so darn busy. A, B, you got to have that energy to be able to want to come on camera. And I think that people don't quite understand that. It's not easy to have a YouTube channel of any size. It's not. It's very difficult, just in general. But she had her and I constantly got onto this channel, and you have some people who are thirsty. Trust me. There's some dudes who are hyper thirsty. Nothing really bothers me in terms of that because I know Noelle and I know all the circumstances and situations. And I know that most people can't compete with me when it comes to life. They just can't. Not most. I'm going to say a lot of these dudes can't compete with me. So I'm never worried about that. I'm never worried about her or anything like that. And the same goes for her. There's a lot of thirsty women, trust me, that send stuff all the time. So if that's happening on the down low, where people will send messages or they'll go on social media saying certain things that, are kind of telling Noelle, I'm waiting for you. You must be working out, getting ready for me, or, you're looking great, or those stripes on that top look amazing. They're not talking about the stripes on her top. I remember we went into a place here, and I'm not even going to name the type of business because I'm not trying to point any person out or anything like that. But we walk in, and the guy that's working there, Noelle had a striped dress on. It was a green and white striped dress. Noelle has a little bit bigger chest, right? Well, she had her purse kind of straddling between her chest. So it accentuated her chest a little more. And this guy that was working there, did this like, ooh, I like your stripes, right? Now, it wasn't some unique stripe pattern. It's just a regular thing. Now, was that professional? Sure it was. Did it bother me? Not at all. We laughed at it, right? I remember we went to a club and there was a guy. Noelle and I were facing each other in two bar chairs, facing each other. Her legs were between mine like this, right? That's how her legs were. We were just talking, and all of a sudden she turns to get her drink and take a sip because it was on the counter. And I still faced this way. This guy comes up so close to her ear, her hair was blowing from his breath, asking if there was a coat check in the building, right? Or in that place. And she's like, what? Huh? And I said, I think he's asking if there's a coat check in here. It was the funniest thing. We both laughed. And of course, dude, so Noelle, I think, just laughed a little bit and leaned over and kissed me to basically say, that's cute, but I'm already with someone. This is not some little fling. It's not like we met just tonight and we're just talking. So when it comes to that, or I've had women do certain things. In Vegas, when we first went, we went to Tao back in our clubbing days. And this chick was dancing all up on me, a little Asian girl. She was probably 23. Dancing all up on me, but pretty much darn near groping me. And Noelle just kind of moved me out of the way and danced right in my position. So this was me and this was Noelle. She just switched it to where this is Noelle and this is me. So then the chick was bouncing up against her and then eventually left when she realized that we had switched places. But the point of that is that Noelle and I are not jealous of each other like that, right? And the reason why that is, while we're secure in our relationship, is because we've been through so much. If you can survive families being stupid, and the only person you have to rely on to survive the stupidity is your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend, you come out pretty darn strong. So we didn't sit there and excuse what our families did or didn't do. We basically said, yeah, that sucks, and I'm going to stand up to that. Either we're a package deal. Same thing with her friends. Told them, we're a package deal. Whether you like it or not, because they like the single Noelle, because they can, have all types of fun, and they were kind of single and all this other stuff. Some of them had boyfriends, in which I didn't understand that. But once she became that type of a person that had a stronger relationship with someone, a lot of the friends she had fell off. Life changed, right? Life changed. Same thing goes for me. A lot of people just fell off, and that's okay. I'd do that deal 1,000 times a day. That means I have to shed everybody in order to gain someone who's a life partner I can build with, having the best life I've had ever. If you take 1 year of my life and compare it to the prior 43 years, that 1 year has been better than all the other years. If you compare the decade, which Noelle and I have been together longer than a decade, but if you compare just the decade of us being together, has exceeded anything that I've ever done in my life, it is mainly due to both of us together. Then hell yeah, I'll take that deal any day. And that's the reason why I said I would never allow my mom, which my mom loved Noelle, and she was never a problem. But if my mom did not like Noelle, I'd be like, that's cool, but I'm still sticking with Noelle. And if I end up at the end of the day being the fool, then I'm the fool. If all of this ends up being blowing up in my face and Noelle's not that great of a person and things don't work out, then you know what? I was a fool. But that's okay, because I didn't tell my mama who to get with and marry and date and all that. And no one else did either. She was allowed to make her choices, and she believed that in me. Same thing with Noelle's family. I didn't tell her mom and dad to get together, or no one was telling them don't do this and do that and don't do that. So how in the hell are they going to be able to tell us what to do? That's been my mindset with this situation, but with everybody. I don't think that if you're not paying my bills, you're not even coming close to wanting to pay one bill, you don't have any right to say anything about what we do. As long as, we're treating each other with respect and all that, it'd be one thing if we were fighting and fussing and issues all the time. It's not the case. So for me, even though our life is fine, putting our relationship constantly on social media, I feel would not be a good thing, because something that might be minor, not a big deal, people will use that against Noelle or I or the kids. And I don't think that that's fair. So what's not an issue suddenly becomes an issue. And you add a few of those in there. You have people that validate and thirsty. So you have an issue of people throwing darts at you because they want to see your relationship break up. You have other people that's like Birdman, waiting to jump on because they think they can get somewhere with one of us. And it's never a good thing. It's never a good thing. And again, most of the time, a lot of these issues are not that big. And I've seen a lot of people on YouTube go down. I had a great relationship before, a decent relationship, and then it peters out. Or you're hearing one side of the story and not the full, complete side of that story. You barely hear the other side of the story, and yet people sit and take, they take allegiance. And so they add more fuel to the fire. And at the end of the day, the victims are people who had nothing at all to do with anything. So, and that's usually the kids. And so that's why. That's a long story, but that's why. Because I've gotten other people ask questions about other people on social media. And all this, what are your thoughts about this? What do you think about that? So I'm kind of addressing all of that in one thing. And my thing is, it's none of my business. None of my business. It's not my business. It's not my concern, not my problem. It's none of my business. I don't know the details of anybody's relationship. And a lot of what you see is half-truths. Unless you're in that house, you're never going to know exactly everything that goes on. You're only privy to what someone shows you. And so for me, the channel has this channel has migrated to what issues involving young black men, because I feel like that can go a whole lot farther. I've had a lot of young black men reach out to me, ask questions, all of that stuff, which I celebrate, because just by judging the memes about 50 Cent gaining weight and people making fun of him is proof that men's issues, men's mental health issues, there's memes of men crying and all this, and people making fun of it. But if it was a woman talking about people fat shaming her, or a woman who was not taken serious because she's upset about something, it would be an issue, right? It's okay to bash men, but it's not okay to do the same thing to women. So I speak directly to young black men all the time. I can't for every group of men, but young black men specifically. I'm a big proponent of interracial relationships. Why? Because I'm a part of it. That doesn't mean I'm against same-race relationships, but they already have huge advocacies for that. You see what I'm saying? The channel speaks a big part about Tacoma and the growth of Tacoma and, this region. I can't speak about every single tiny town and hamlet like people want me to do, but I can talk about a high-level overview of some of the bigger ones here. That's what I do for the channel. So is it peaches and glory and boobies and stuff like that, and nipples? No, because that's what people want to see. Are there people walking around in thongs or showing your legs or cleavage? No, that's what people want to see. It comes fast, but also I understand anything that comes fast dies quickly. You lose it just as fast. I gained my success slowly in life. It took me till I got to 40 to be able to be like, oh, this is different. Even though she's like, things are different now. We went from being so darn poor to where, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, but Noelle and I joke about it. We were so poor at one point in time when we first got together that because with one particular job, got laid off from, and trying to find something in the middle, we were so poor that the cats, we had to give them tuna and oats. We wanted to give them some oats to fortify it. That's how poor it was. So I went from doing very well, blowing money, spending money prior to her, got with her, still in that, got laid off, boom, income plummeted to nothing nearly, and then back to where I am now is 3 times greater than where I was when I started, right? 3 times greater. So, and obviously Noelle was a big part of that. You can't build with someone who can't even hand you a brick. So Noelle hands me brick, concrete. She's in there trying to do her own thing. And so we're able to build together, right? You can't have that if there's always a public spotlight on you and people are saying, well, she's mixing the concrete wrong, or she didn't seem like she showed any enthusiasm, and how come he's the only one working, or look at him, he's making her do work, and she, he should be doing all of it. You're always going to find a detractor. Even with your best intentions, you're going to always find people who are there to just basically throw poo pies because they have nothing else better going for them. You have a lot of people that want to watch you because they value the channel, and that's probably the vast majority of people who have various different people they watch on YouTube. There's a vast majority. There's some people who want an echo chamber. There's some people who want to live vicariously through someone else. There's some people who don't view famous people, but people on YouTube as real people, right? Some of the people who have a huge following, there are people who don't view them necessarily as just regular people, and they are. So to answer your question, and it's been a 40-minute long video because I'm very passionate about it, and I've tried to warn people before. And I've said, I personally, I've changed a lot. This channel's not only about one particular topic because I feel like that is not necessarily a good thing. People can do whatever they want. Change kind of the flow of things a little bit. It's boring for people to sit and watch me in a gray background with some molds over here and a bunch of crap over here and the blinds. I get that. But A, this is where I work. B, and do a lot of what I do every day. So this is where I'm going to do it at. B, I don't have time to drive around town and show you the city. You come here, spend your money, and fly to Tacoma, and you can see the city yourself, right? There will be some drive videos, but as far as me curating a whole map of the city by driving around, I'm not doing that, right? But I will tell you certain key things about the city. Because again, if I drive around areas that I think are interesting, what are people going to say? Well, why didn't you drive around 6th Avenue? Well, how come Furcrest? I don't see Furcrest in there. You're always going to have people saying stuff, right? I still remember talking about Bremerton. I did a Bremerton video, and I had so many people that were so butthurt about some of the stuff that I was saying in general, just general terms. So I never talk about Bremerton anymore. Why? Right? Because I don't know anything about Bremerton to begin with, really, as far as details. I don't live there. But for people passing by, they're one of the 1.1 million views that we've gotten. They don't know the difference. They're just going off of the video that they see. They don't know that I do tons of it. I've had other people talk about, well, you know, how come you don't talk the June Lovejoy video, right? How come, you know, he's talking about some white adult film star, but he doesn't talk about black issues? And I'm like, well, obviously you're too stupid to realize that I've had a channel for many years, and there's many topics I talk about in terms of black people. There's many. But there are also going to be times when I talk about the hypocrisy of people. It had little to do with June Lovejoy. Again, they bring it not on them, because I'm talking about them. But they think I'm talking about June Lovejoy. I'm not. I'm talking about them, the hypocrisy of people who watch certain things and the bigotry that people have. That's what I'm talking about. But not everybody is going to understand. And that's proof that if I were to showcase my whole family, and we may live out a real truth, that people are not going to necessarily always understand. A good chunk of people will, but there's always going to be that little fringe that completely don't get it. They may misinterpret something. We may have our own banter that we use and that we're used to, and it's not a big deal. But there are people who aren't used to that. Well, he's just mean. He's a jerk. Or she's just rude to you. How can you? And it's not that way. And then let's say we do have a real fight that's off camera. Then it's like, well, you know what? Even people on YouTube agree with me. And it's like, it becomes a bigger issue than what it really, really is. So being this old, which is not that old at all, and having the wisdom that we do have after years of creating and making bad choices, finally, around what, 36? No, before that. Let's say around 30, 32. That was when I finally started to make that shift and change. So that's why I don't show my kids constantly on TV or on YouTube, and why I never will. When they get old enough and they can make their own choices and decisions, they can decide if they want to be on YouTube. When they get older, they can decide that. Right now, at this age, with any of them, Zoe's 11, they're still not old enough to even make a decision on what clothes they want to wear. They can't even really do that very well. So let alone forcing them onto something that they can't really honestly make a true choice on. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to join the Discord down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.